I've been living in a townhouse with my parents for the last couple of summers. And before that, for a couple of years in high school. For some ill-fated reason, we've always had terrible neighbours. When we first moved in, we had a woman and her teenage daughter who regularly sold drugs out of her room. Then a family with what seemed was the loudest, angriest chihuahua in the world. For those unfamiliar with townhouses, it's like having a regular house with all of the noises of an apartment building. The only reason we've stayed for so long is that my dad became friends with the owner, and apparently we get fantastic rent. Anyway, right before I came back from college one summer, my old neighbours, a middle-aged Mexican couple and their kid, left, and some new tenants came in. I usually don't keep up with who's living next to us, unless they're extremely annoying, or they park on our side of the driveway. So the first night back, I decide I'm going to relax and listen to some music. My room happens to be adjacent to an identical one on the other side, so when I open the window, I can see there's light spilling out from that window onto their patio. It's around 3 a.m, so I wonder why they're up so late, or if they just left the light on. But I decide I really don't give a damn, so I go through my backpack and look for my snacks. They're not there. Without my munchies, I resort to survival-style methods of snacking and decide to rummage around downstairs. I go to the kitchen, grab what I could find, come back upstairs, and I realise my window's closed. I look outside my room, down the hall at my parents' room, and that's closed too. They're sleeping, so it couldn't be them. I decide getting a sugar fix is more important than investigating, so I go and open the window and realise the light next door is now off. As I move from the window to my computer, I hear my windows shut hard and my blinds fall, all simultaneously. I turn around, scared as all hell, but nothing's there. The next thing I hear is my parents' door opening and my mum coming into my room. She looks pissed, but then the colour drains from her face when she sees me looking very, very afraid. Looking terrified is not the usual me, so she's immediately worried. I explain what happened, but she dismisses it as me being an idiot and trying to scare her. She tells me it's not funny and to knock it the hell off, and goes back to bed. Eventually, my will to eat is stronger than my fear, so I chow down on some chips while watching a show and go to bed. Nothing out of the ordinary happens for a few weeks, so I chalk it up to some strong wind, but I can't really explain everything, so I try to keep it out of my head. Come July, I'm usually out of the house all day, but that day is slow, so I decide to take it easy and lurk around on my laptop for a bit. It's all a bit boring, so I decide to call a friend over. As I reach for my phone, I hear this ripping noise behind me, and when I look, there's a hole in my window screen, and the edges are jutting out towards me, meaning something must have punched it from the outside. Except, my room is on the second story. My first thought was, what the hell? A ghost just tried to falcon punch its way into my room. Then too, oh my god, a bird just busted through my window. I spend an hour looking for a bird corpse inside my room and out on my patio, which my window's overlooking. I look up at my room and realise two things. One, my window is now closed and I'm the only one in the house. Two, the window of the room next to mine is not only open, but has no screen, and the light is on. I rush back inside, and when I get upstairs to my room, the window's open again. Except this time, the window screen's gone. Just plain gone. As in, it's not on the floor and it's not outside. Someone, or something, stole my damn window screen. For some reason, the first thing I do is angrily march over next door to yell at the tenants for stealing my crap. But it's not until I'm outside I realise that's not even possible. The distance from one window to the other is way too far. I go back in and decide I'm not going back upstairs until my parents get home. They eventually get back, but I don't bother to explain, even though they might get suspicious about the missing window screen. I reluctantly climb back upstairs, and fortunately, everything is the way I left it. Window closed, blinds up. I move to close the blinds and notice that once again, the light is on next door. The light's spilling onto the patio when I detect movement outside. Someone's casting a shadow onto the patio from the window. I pay attention to the shadow. It's pretty clear it's a person standing there. But that's the thing that bothered me. They were just standing there, as if they were intently focused on something and refused to move. Then, the light quickly blinks off, then on again. But now, the shadow's gone. I start panicking. Nothing moves that damn fast. It was literally in the blink of an eye. I close the blinds and sleep with the lights on that night. Just like before, no activity for a couple of weeks. Around the end of July is when my parents announced they're going to vacation in Mexico. They want me to stay in the house and take care of it, and in exchange, I can throw a party or two as long as I don't overdo it. I'm ecstatic at thinking of all the stuff I'm going to do for a week and a half with an empty house. And I'm not even thinking of all the paranormal stuff that happened. Days later, I drop them off at the airport and I pick up my friend Karen, deciding to christen my temporary bachelor pad with a hangout session. As soon as we come in, we both realise it's freezing. By the time I get to the thermostat in the living room, she's shivering and rubbing her arms, even though she's wearing a hoodie. I look at the thermostat. Its thermometer's reading 45 degrees, but it's set to 80. Karen says something like, "Your heating's messed up." But she's interrupted by a crash upstairs. "Aren't we alone?" she says. Feeling like I wasn't going to let this ruin my plans, I tell her, "If we're not, we're gonna be." We rush upstairs, finding my bookcase and desk on the ground, with my books and pretty much all my stuff all over the floor. She helps me clean up as I explain the last two incidents. Karen doesn't really believe in anything paranormal, so the two of us discuss some reasonable explanations for what's been happening. We both conclude that most likely it's the neighbours. They've been getting into the house somehow, and they're possibly using the window as a way to distract me. She convinces me they've taken this way too far, so we decide I should confront them and tell them I've had enough. As we walk outside in the little light that's still left, I notice there's no car in their driveway, and that's when it hits me. I've never seen their car. I've never seen them leave. And except for that shadow, I've actually never seen them at all. I stagger and eventually stop as I come to this realization. Noticing me lag behind, Karen asks me if something's wrong. I respond, "Karen, I've never seen them." "Well, now you'll meet them." It's probably a good idea to get to know your neighbours, even if they sneak into your house to wreck your stuff. No, I responded. I mean, there's a possibility that no one's going to answer, because no one lives there. She makes a confused face, looks over to the house and then back to me and says, "What are you talking about? Someone has to live there. Haven't you asked your parents about the neighbours at least once?" I explained to her that I've never cared, as most of the tenants move in for just a couple of months, then move out when, I assumed, the owner got tired of their antics. Usually it was for falling behind on the rent, or because they trashed the place. My parents even told me that on 2 separate occasions, the police had asked them if they'd heard any fighting or yelling next door, as apparently they'd been called on a possible domestic violence situation. Looking increasingly concerned, she muttered, "Maybe it wasn't that. What if whatever's next door has been bothering the tenants, scaring them until they move out? Now that no one's there, it's trying to kick you out." Taking in that possibility, my emotions turned from fear to anger. I could understand getting spooked every once in a while, but kicking me out from my house? Absolutely not. My newly uncovered anger affords me some confidence, and I find myself pounding heavily on the door, Karen behind me. No one answers. We couldn't look through the window, as the blinds were closed, and the glass was covered in smudges left by fingerprints. The rest of the house was surrounded by a fence, so I decided I'd see if I could take a look inside from the patio. From there, I could see that the window was closed, but that the light in the room was on. As I turned to Karen, I saw through my own window that the door to my room was opening, slowly. My heart pounded as I simultaneously pointed at the door and signalled Karen to look. We both stood in silence as the door opened ever so slowly, as if whatever was behind it was having great difficulty with its weight. Ajar enough for a person to fit through, the door suddenly stops, and into my room walks somebody or something. But at that instant, the lights in the room explode out of nowhere, shrouding everything in darkness. We shield our eyes from the flash, and when we look back up, the blinds have been closed. But in that instant, right before the lights blew, we managed to catch a glimpse of it. It definitely had a human shape, but as for the rest, I believe Karen put it best. It looked goddamn dead. In that brief moment, I saw its grey skin, mottled with bruises, its drenched hair fallen onto its shoulders, sticking to its chest with moisture. The purple-stained neck led to its disfigured face, like the victim of a savage beating, contorting its face into a permanent expression of anguish. What Karen noticed was the yellow eyes, decaying, the pupils now flattened like a goat's due to the rot. It was some messed up crap. Any anger or confidence or rationale that we previously possessed had dissipated entirely. We were balls to the wall, scared. We stand in the patio, paralysed for what seemed like hours. Karen finally speaks up. "We've got to call the cops. We can at least make them go through the house." So, I call the police and tell them there's an intruder in my house. A squad car shows up, and 2 cops search it from top to bottom. Nothing. I ask them if they can search the one next door, but they say they're not allowed without a warrant. Eventually, they leave. We decide that since the cops have gone through it, It must be somewhat safe. We go to my room to find the window once again wide open and the blinds up. I go to close them, but I find that either are impossible. The window simply won't move, and if I'd strained more to lower the blinds, I would have broken the string. Karen and I cleaned the glass from the busted lights. Exhausted and concerned, I fall onto my bed, and Karen sits in my computer chair. I tell her I'm out of ideas besides breaking into the house next door with a damn tire iron. She says that maybe that's not such a bad idea. And that's when I notice it. In front of my room is the attic door, and it's been slid open. I move quickly to shut my door and lock it. Karen looks panicked. Karen, do you think they searched the attic? I ask desperately, hoping for a yes. Probably not, she says. I look around the room, seeking bludgeoning weapons. I pick up one of those heavy marble-based trophies. She picks up a disused lava lamp. I swing the door open, only to find the attic door is now sealed. We run downstairs, but instead of running out the door, I run into the garage, where I pick up a tire iron and a big wrench. I toss Karen the tire iron. She asks me what the hell I'm thinking. I tell her if she doesn't want to come, she can sit in the car. She refuses and takes a few practice swings with a tire iron. We march upstairs. I turn on the attic light, and using a stool, we gradually climb into the attic. Despite the summer weather, it's extremely cold in there. I spot what confirms my suspicions. Opposite our attic door is the door from the other house, partially hidden under a pile of insulation. Wondering why anyone would want to share attic space like that, we approach the door, hesitant to go in. I lift the door slowly and peek out my head into the hallway. All the doors are closed. Karen hands me the stool, and we drop down into the hallway as silently as we can, weapons ready to smash into anything. I decide the first thing I want to see is the room opposite mine. I try the handle, and sure enough, it's unlocked. I open the door swiftly with the wrench raised, but the room's empty, devoid of anything. The room's completely white, except for a black stain on the carpet in front of the window. We approach it. It's actually two stains close together, in the shape of human feet. They're black and shiny, as if someone had purposely dipped their feet in tar and set them there. As we're looking, the door slams behind us, and we hear someone descending the stairs in a rush. Alarmed, we both raise our weapons and rush into the hallway to find the master bedroom door ajar. We decide to check it out before we go downstairs. As we approach the door, we notice a horrible smell emanating from the room. It's a horrendous stench, and we both reel back and hold our noses. I stick out my arm and slowly push the door in. The stench didn't compare in any way to what we saw. A nest. A goddamn nest. The outside was made of newspaper, moulded like paper mache into a roughly circular shape. Then, in the middle, was a ring of leaves. And I kid you not, matted hair. I looked to Karen, but her eyes were on the walls. I looked up to see the nailed corpses of several neighbourhood cats and dogs. The smell was unbearable. but the sight finally got to us. Karen vomited, and I quickly followed. I insisted on finding out more, so I got closer to the nest, but immediately regretted it. Nestled in the middle were several bowls brimming with unidentifiable liquids. Some of them were watery and red, but some of them had what I recognized as the black substance we found in the other room. Karen got closer as well. She was the one who noticed that the bowls were actually skull caps. We decide we're way in over our heads and begin to leave the room. Once in the hallway, we realize the stool's gone. We search the other room unsuccessfully, comprehending that we're now in deep trouble. Both the stool and the other exits are below us, so no matter what, we're going downstairs. We grip our weapons firmly and descend slowly into the pitch black annex. I fumble for a light switch, and surprisingly, I find one. The lights dim to the point of being almost useless, so we walk slowly into the living room. As we get closer, we see a brighter light coming from the corner. It's a small television, turned on its side, playing static. Karen whispers, "Now they're not even trying." We step into the middle of the living room. There's a small overturned couch facing the wall. I focus my eyes, trying to distinguish between shades of black. Way in the corner is something a little darker than the rest. I can tell by the way Karen grips her tire iron that she sees it too. I whisper, "Our best bet is just to kill, right here, right now. If it's in the corner, it's because it's afraid of us, right?" Karen nods. That's when it jumps at us, making the most horrible damn sound. It was like hearing a death rattle backwards through a shortwave radio. We both swing, and we swing hard. I could tell I'd made impact because I thought I'd broken my hand. The thing squealed, tumbled over, and staggered into the kitchen. We trailed it, but it moved way too fast. The last thing we saw was it bursting through the front window as we turned around the corner. According to the official police reports, a group of homeless men inhabited the premises for an uncertain amount of time. And that's all as well, since we told the police all we heard was the window crash next door. After I dropped Karen off, I came back to my room to find my window screen, hole and all, lying against the wall. And next to it was a single, black, tarry handprint.